Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Weekly. Thank you for joining me, and I'm sorry I'm late, and I do apologise for my voice. It's almost gone, so you're going to have to bear with me. First of all, my thanks to the people, you know who you are, who came to my surprise birthday party on Saturday. Thank you for that. It was very much appreciated. We had a really good laugh, and thank you all for turning up. And also, everyone that I saw at the game yesterday, few people that came to say hello. And as usual, Alfie, young Alfie came to say hello. And I think Ahmed, I saw you at the bar outside the stadium. Thank you for saying hello. So, welcome to the West Ham Weekly. And I'm sorry I'm late. And I hope I get through the show before my voice completely packs up. So let's go into the chat and see who's there, shall we? Who we got? Foxes are screaming. Good evening to you. Oi, oi to you. Free me. I'm free. I don't know about my voice though. There's actually something to look forward to on the last day. Isn't there such? We've got something to play for on the last day of the season, and that's going to be fantastic. Good evening, Hammerette. How are you? I hope you're well. Good evening, Howard. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Daniela. How are you? Good evening, Steve. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. I'm not going to make it, am I? James, going for 21:37. Yeah, I think you were probably right. And good evening to you as well. Black Country, how are you? I hope you're well. My voice ain't going to last. Good evening, Paul. Good evening to you, James. Tonight, seeing as it's almost Still's birthday, I've gone for a Nugan Estate Cabernet Sauvignon. Add another 20 years onto that, mate. Good evening, Darren. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining as well. Good evening, Ashley. Nice to see Arsenal calmer after cheating games. What's the score? I don't know. So long as they're losing. I mean, it's a shame that both Spurs and Arsenal can't get knocked out of the top six anymore, but they deserve all they get for cheating through during COVID, don't they? Good evening, Scott. How are you? Thanks, Mark, for all your loyal service to West Ham United. You did all of us proud over many seasons. God bless and amen. Absolutely. And I'm going to do a little bit of a feature on Mr. Noble himself. Daniela, it started talk started trying to link Bone to him. Let them link whoever to whoever. Every time our players play well, the rumor mill's gonna increase, isn't it? So, Man United, what for Bowen? Leave off. What's he want to go to a shit club like that for, eh? Black Country. I'm setting my alarm now for 3 o'clock. Good evening, Mr. Pepper. How are you? I'm very well, apart from the voice. Black Country. I'm really glad Stell's not in charge of Big Ben. That's a really good point. That Howard. If Stell was in charge of Big Ben, we'd be hearing bubbles every hour. Great idea. What a great idea, hey? I think that would be perfect. Darren, I bet Stell is not. No, I'm really not. Good evening, Lee. How are you? Thank you for joining, mate. Hammerette. Evening, Howard. She's saying evening. By the way, subscribe and all that stuff. Hammerette, tell them what we need to do. Alfie, there you are. See, great to meet you on Sunday. Even if it was 4 pints down, wet from the rain, and had something in my eye after the Noble ceremony. Well, I was a bit worse for wear as well. I think I was able to talk at that point, Alfie. But thank you for coming over and saying hello. Hello, mate. Cockney Buccaneer. Where's my notes? Where's my notes? Well, you're not far wrong because one of my laptops logged out just before I went live. So you're not far wrong. Well done for the trip to Ukraine. Fantastic. I mentioned it last week. I think I hopefully you caught that. Good evening, Julie. Come on, still. Are you still out on the rum? No, drunk a bit too much and got home a bit too late. And no, I don't think I want to drink rum for another year. Good evening, Pat. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Ashley, nice to see Arsenal. What's the score? Are they? I'm guessing they're losing, and I don't even know they're playing. I kind of given up on looking out for other teams now. I'm just interested in West Ham. Good evening, Tim. Thank you for joining, mate. I hope you're well. That's jumped, so let's go back up a bit. Thank you, Darren. Much appreciated. Hammerette, oh, it was your but you didn't mention it. Ah, hope you had a great one. I did, thank you. Sorry couldn't catch up with no problem at all. I know you got new mates to look after now, haven't you? I'm only kidding. Where's my shirt? No, no. We all agreed that we're going to wear our shit shirts on Sunday at Brighton, and I promise I'll be wearing it. Oh no, I did agree that I'd wear it tonight, didn't I? Look, it's shit shirt day in Brighton. Wiggy's going to lead the way. I'm going to wear the shirt that you bought me. I promise. Sarif, good evening. Galispera to you. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Right, shall we get on with the show, shall we? And because the first person we've obviously got to speak about is Mr. Mark Noble, our final home game. Such a fantastic season that we've had, and of course it wasn't just significant for the great season that we had. There was something to play for in this game, in the game against Man City, and of course it was farewell from the home fans to Mark Noble. Emotional day for many fans, and I'll be honest with you. I think it kind of got to an awful lot of us, even we were sort of braving it out and trying to say that, oh well, it's not that important. Of course it was important. you know this player's story, it's a fairy tale, isn't it, for every West Ham fan? As we all know, born in Canning Town, he played for the Academy of Football at Arsenal originally until the age of 14, when he saw sense. West Ham came in for him, and they offered him a place in the academy at West Ham. He became one of the youngest ever players to appear in a reserve team at the age of 15. He became a trainee in 2003, made his senior debut at the age of just 17 in the League Cup in August 2004 in a 2-0 win against Sheffield United. He made his league debut in the Championship in January 2005 in a 4-2 defeat away to Wolves. And on the 30th of May 2005, Noble played in the 2005 Championship playoff final, which saw West Ham beat Preston North End 1-0. And go back to the Premier League. He entered the game on the 82nd minute as a sub for Sean Newton. Remember him? Nobles won Hammer of the Year and runner-up of Hammer of the Year award, despite making his debut only 4 months previous to that. So, great start to his career. But when he returned to the Premier League, Noble played just 5 games, and before he went out on loan, he wasn't getting a lot of first-team game time. And so, in order to give him a bit more experience, he went out on loan to Hull. But that wasn't working so well. So then he came back then and soon moved on loan to Ipswich. Which did him good. In 2010, he scored his first senior goal in the 2006-7 season against Brighton in the 3-0 win in January 2007 in the third round of the FA Cup. Wouldn't it be fitting, his first senior goal against Brighton, wouldn't it be fitting that he scores his last senior goal against Brighton this Sunday as the winner against them? That'd be fantastic send off, wouldn't it? 2011-10 season is likely to have been at one of his lowest points in his career, where we were relegated again under a calamitous management of Avram Grant. Let's skip past that. But 2015-16, probably one of his happiest seasons, where under Bilic, he captained the team. Throughout that season, we finished high in the league, and also it was the last season at the Boleyn. So a bit of a bittersweet season, but something that he definitely relished at that time. 2016-17 season, get a bit of a lull for him. He described it as one of his most difficult seasons in his career. However, the last 2 seasons, of course, Noble's accepted the role of squad player rather than being a first team starter. But he's really influenced almost every game he's come on to play in those last 2 seasons, hasn't he? He's been an absolute captain, and of course, his last ever home performance is 549th appearance in the 2-2 draw at the weekend against Man City. In all those 549 appearances, he scored 62 goals, 61 assists. He holds the record for the high number of Premier League appearances for West Ham at 413, which is never likely to be surpassed, unless, of course, Declan Rice signs that 8-year contract and surpasses that with aplomb. Look, despite the highs and lows, he has always given everything to West Ham United, and we know that he will be at the club for a long time to come. Not in a playing capacity, but certainly some kind of backroom role. There's an ambassadorial role apparently being suggested. There's maybe going into training manager, training the junior, the academy, etc. So we look forward to his next chapter with West Ham United, and we know it's going to happen, don't we? So we've got to say thank you, Mark Noble. We've got to say thank you for all the years of service that you've given us. It's been fantastic, and fans have been on his back over time when things haven't gone so well. But then, as the saying goes, we're probably only going to realise how much we miss when he's gone. And I've just been sent a message, Julie. Thank you. Arsenal are losing 2-0. Good. Right. So let's move on to the game, shall we? The game that was played at the weekend. So when the team news was announced, we talked about Mark Noble, and many people said, "Oh, we think he should start. He should start the game, etc." But no sentiment here. There was a lot to play for, and with the greatest of respect, David Moyes did the right thing. He picked the team, kind of what we expected. The only one change: Ben Rama hadn't recovered from his injury, so Thomas Soucek took his rightful place in the centre of midfield. Fabianski in goal. Soufal could have been Soufal or Johnson. But it seems that when Soufal's fully fit, it seems to be he's the favoured option on the right. Zuma, Dawson and Creswell, Declan and Soucek in the middle, Bowen, Lanzini, Fornals and Antonio. And it's the kind of, I know we don't have a big squad, but it's the kind of lineup you've come to expect. The odd changes every now and again being, Johnson, the odd changes if Ben Rama was fit being Ben Rama. But one interesting addition to the subs bench was Armstrong Oko Flex. He's been on the bench a couple of times. There's no way that we expected him to come and play any part in this game, but it was good to see. And maybe, just maybe, I talked about some of the youngsters that we've got at West Ham United and who might be and who might not be sort of going out on loan next season, who might be kept and so on and so forth. I've always suggested that Armstrong Oko Flex seems to be probably first team ready. I'm not talking about him walking into the first team, first 11, of course not, but certainly first team ready. And maybe he might be one of the players that we might see a bit more of next season. I think he's a good player. I think he's an excellent player. And I know people say, well, it's only the under 23s and you can only go so far with the under 23s, etc., etc. I get that. I understand that. But you've got to cut your teeth somewhere, haven't you? Armstrong Oko Flex, he had a number of clubs come in for him during the January transfer window. They wanted to take him out on loan, championship clubs, Premier League, Scottish clubs, etc. So it shows that there are others that think he's quite a valuable young player, not just us. And I think he could be one of the surprise players of next season. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Right. Okay. So let's get on with the game, shall we? We knew we weren't going to have an awful lot of the ball. It's Man City. We come to expect that. So we played the fantastic counter attacking game, and it worked absolute wonders for us, didn't it? I mean, the first goal, the ball through and Bowen. I mean, fuck me, he's on fire, isn't he? I know we sing it, but boy, oh boy, he's on. And now everyone, Liverpool are linked to him, Man United are linked to him. I'm sure Real Madrid will come knocking on our door soon as well. The way he took that ball, the way he went round the keeper and around Edison and slotted it in from a very, very tight angle as well, was absolutely superb. Really set us up, didn't it? And then, of course, no sooner than we scored that, just before half time, that looping ball from Fornals, fantastic ball. And then Bowen to latch onto that as well was just beautiful. He slotted it into the corner and they were on the rack, weren't they, Man City? They didn't know what to do with us. We hit them on the counter attack. Antonio was playing really well up front, really bossing the game up front. And when we could, when Boeing saw he saw two fantastic chances and he took them both in the first half. I know he had another chance in the second half, but that was quite difficult. There were players flying in to block that ball when he could have put us, what was it, 3-1 up. But Bowen was absolutely on fire. in the game at the weekend. And then, in the second half, what we didn't want, we didn't want Man City to get back quickly, and they did. Unfortunately, they got back in, and they kind of they the early goal was a bit of a killer in a way. But on 48 minutes, they scored the early goal through at Man City, and it kind of put us on the back foot. I felt as if in the second half we dropped a little bit deeper. It's almost as if we wanted to protect the 2-goal lead, and against a team like Man City, even if you're bloody 5 goals up, it's quite dangerous to protect that sort of lead. But I felt that's what we were trying to do, and we kept dropping deeper and deeper and deeper, and giving them even more of the ball than they had. I don't know what the stats are, to be honest. I haven't looked at them, but the last thing you do is to invite a team like Man City on you. And they got the goal. They got their second goal. It was an unfortunate second goal with Soufal diving. I think as a defender, he was right to do so. He had to try and get something on the ball. A defender's instinct is that, the ball's coming into the box. If you think you can get it, you try get in touch on it. Unfortunately, so the touch just took it straight past Fabianski. He was rooted to his feet. And then, of course, what do we do? A penalty. Look, I'm going to talk a little bit about the referee now, because I keep being told that the referee had a good game. Well, why did the referee get booed off at halftime? Because it was absolutely abysmal. And people are saying, no, no, you're looking at it with your West Ham tinted glasses on, etc. No, I don't think I or 58,000 fans, or however many there was of us in the stadium at the weekend, thought that the referee had a good game. He had a terrible game. He didn't. I'm not saying he favoured Man City, but the way it came across was, every time Man City got the ball and were nudged, free kick straight away. Every time we got the ball, went down, nothing. Lanzini in the middle of the park where he got hauled over. The referee was right in front of it, waved play on. And there were several incidents like that throughout the game, which was really, really frustrating. Now, you could argue that Man City were unlucky. There was an occasion in the first half where Zuma went through Jesus, and yeah, he caught him. But that's what VAR's for. If the referee didn't see it and VAR didn't see it, then tough shit. But that's what VAR did in the second half. They looked for a penalty, and it was. There's no doubt about it. Dawson, sometimes he's been a fantastic player for us, but on occasion he has that red mist, and he brought the player down. There's no denying it was a penalty. But then, of course, up jumped Fabianski. What a great save! What an absolutely fantastic save. I didn't actually think Fabianski could reach that far. Now, I'm being facetious. I'm joking, of course, but it was just a superb save. Many are going to say it was the right height for the keeper, etc., but it was going right in the corner. It was going, well, maybe not in the top of the corner, but it's certainly going away from him. It was a fantastic leap. And did you see what they tried to do, VAR? They tried to check his feet to see if the penalty had to be taken again. You know what? That was superb. And we had our chances as well. Antonio's efforts, where he tried to loop it over on occasion. I said it before. Antonio in the Premier League is so desperate to score goals. Sometimes he gets blinded. I think it was Declan that was free running up the middle of the pitch. And if he had seen Declan just momentarily, he could have slotted it across. And Declan, that would have been when it was 2-1 to us. And Declan would have just slotted it in, because Edison was coming out to meet Antonio. It left an open goal. Look, we missed it. We had a couple of other chances, but we contained them. We did really well for a team that's that talented, and they are a multi-million-pound team. And for us to play the way we played against them, for us to put in the performance that we did, I think is just superb. And it stands in good stead, because we know we've got an excellent 11, don't we? We know we've got probably another couple more on top of that, an excellent 13, maybe 14. What we need now next season, in order to continue competing like that, not just against the likes of Man City, but also other teams, lower teams, not losing to teams like, I know, Southampton and Brighton and teams like that. But we need to have a squad that We can really do the business on next season. We're assured European football next season. At this present moment in time, it's Europa Conference. I don't care. It's funny because we were talking about that the weekend. Maybe just the word conference is the thing that puts people off. It's a European competition. As I've said before, in my days, in my youth, we had various European competitions: European Cup, UEFA Cup, Cup Winners' Cup, Fairs Cup, etc., etc. We've had a number of European competitions. This is no different. They're just different name. So I think it's good at this moment in time that we're in a European competition. That can't be taken away. Wolves can't catch us up now. But I think at the weekend, we are going to be in sixth place. I predicted fifth at the beginning of the season. If we finish sixth, I'll take that. Who wouldn't? Europa League again, another European tour. What a season it's been. What an absolutely fantastic season it's been. And everything deserved, to be quite honest with you. Right, let's see what we got in the chat before we go into the next part of the show. Um, Paul, Spurs will drown the Champions League. I hope they do. Hammer Dad, good evening to you. Honey Stell Gurgle, Honey Stell Gurgle. Yeah, what have I got? I haven't got any honey. I've got some water. When I do the next break, I'll take a sip of water. Stuart K, you sound like Bob Harris tonight, still. I think the gruff voice isn't too bad. I'm not keeping it, Stuart. I hope not. James Allen, West Ham Weekly will this week brought to you by. Nice one, James. Good evening to you, Kimbo. How are you? Good evening to you, Mandy. I hope you're well. Daniela, anyone going to the fan club on Sunday? If it opens, that is. I'll be in Brighton, I'm afraid. I will be in Brighton. This is what I wanted. Hammerette, like the show, peeps, subscribe and hit the notification button to receive all the great Stelios content with a legend when the legend is live. Good evening, Joan. How are you? Haven't seen you for a while, Joan. Or do forgive me if I have seen you, but I've missed you. I'm very well. Great into the season. Europe again. Exactly. European football again. 2 seasons in a row. Arsenal losing 2-0. Absolutely fantastic. Who they even play? I don't even know who they're playing. Hey, SWB, hope you're good. SWB, Steve West Ham Bell. What else we got here? Let's scroll down a bit. Anil, good evening to you. Glad Noble came on to influence the game rather than sentimental. Absolute, and he came on and he did influence the game. Moyes said, I didn't bring it on for sentimental reasons. He came on to do a job, and the job he did. He shored up that midfield, and that's what we came to love. The last 2 seasons, that's what we've become to love of Noble. We know he hasn't got the engine. He's 35 years of age. He hasn't got the engine that he had when he started off, and he did a job, and that was the job we wanted him to do, and he did it with aplomb. Lee, happy birthday. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Steve, haven't got a ticket for Brighton. Might go down. A lot of people are saying they're going down. I think West Ham is going to be, is going to take over Brighton at the weekend, and it's going to be a lovely day as well. So why not? Cockney Buccaneer, bone for it. Well, let's see. Southgate. Let's see. Darren, does anyone believe that you will get 3 points against Brighton? I'm not so confident. You know what, Darren? Time to break that hoodoo, mate. Time to break it, and why not against them? And like I said, Mark Noble's first senior goal against Brighton. Why not his last senior goal against Brighton to win the game? Why not? Anil, let's hope Brighton are on the beach on Sunday. They've got nothing to play for, have they? They might as well just let us win. No, I don't want them to let us win it. I think we will win it. Darren, I really believe we will. This is the new West Ham. Yeah, exactly. Howard Brighton will. Oh, I've done that one. Sorry. What else we got? James. Just need Palace to beat Man United and us to win, which I think we will beat Brighton. Man United have got to get a win. If they get a draw or a defeat and we win, we go above them. Yeah, come on, Palace. I hope they do the business for us. Hammerstad, I think we can beat Brighton if when we have to. I reckon the same for Man United beating Palace. I'm not so sure about Man United. I really am not so sure. Juha, good evening to you. Late evening still. Don't worry, mate. You came on not far after I started. Good evening, Ashley. People saying City should have had a penalty. What about the foul on Soufal leading up to? Exactly. That's what I was saying during the game. That second goal was a foul on our player, and then they got their free kick and they scored from it. But we should have had a free kick beforehand. You're bang on. You're bang on. I think the referee had a shit game. Good evening to you, Mr. Walsh. How are you? Thank you for joining, mate. Kimbo. Didn't get tickets either, but might. But come down, have a drink, find out where we're going, and have a bloody party down there. It's going to be a lovely day. Noble is a rare kind of player these days. Hammerette, a beautiful, true West Ham heart that is irreplaceable. You tell me the next player you know is going to play so many games for one team. It won't happen anymore, will it? In this day and age, it's unheard of. It's unheard of. Unheard of. Darren, it's going to be weird not having Noble around next season. It is. But at least we're only losing one captain and not two, as many people keep speculating. Yuha, they should all have to have Noble haircut for the last game. Oh, it was receding a little bit. Don't think some people will be happy with that. Black Country, cracking performance. It was a cracking performance. And I do think we kind of I think maybe Moyes must have been thinking, let's hold on to this, but that gives them an in, doesn't it? It's not that they need it. Like I said, they're a very, very good team, and they don't need any excuse to keep the ball. They're very good. I've got to admire Pep Guardiola, and also I've got to admire Pep Guardiola for him embracing Mark Noble at the end of the game. Fantastic. That's honourable. It's just such a fantastic gesture that he did, and he talked about Mark Noble, and he praised West Ham United after the game as well. A lot of like Klopp would have gone, oh, they park the bus and they don't play no football and blah blah. What? Because we don't let you walk through us to score 10 goals. And I think Pep Guardiola, all respect to him, he talked about Antonio, how tough Antonio is to play against. He talked about Mark Noble. He talked about West Ham United. He gave us praise, and we love that because I think we deserve the good praise that we got. Darren Clipperty would have never. There you go. There you go. The horse mouth. Yeah, absolutely. Stuart, when the final curtain falls at 6 p.m. this Sunday, then we will be in the Europa League. I believe that too. I think we'll be playing Europa League next season. Pretty sure of it. Steve Clip Clop give me Bowen's number, please, Mark. Exactly. Daniela. Evening though, Sufal goal, it was an own goal, but have every outfield player scored this season now? Is that true? Has every outfield player scored? Lee, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. What a fantastic save. Absolutely fantastic save. Like I said, I didn't think he could reach that far, but boy, oh boy, was I pleased he did. Hammerette, that ref was born and bred in Manchester. Exactly. How is that right? How is that right? And people are telling me that he had a good game. Fuck, did he have a good game? Cockney Buccaneer, Fab said saved more penalties than been scored against him. That I didn't know. That's a really good stat, that. Paul, ref was really bad. They normally are, though, but he was worse than bad. Good evening to you, Brownie. As a non-West Ham fan, I can absolutely say Mark Noble isn't just Mr. West Ham, but Mr. Football, because it's players like him who should be role models for future generations. Well said, mate. Thank you for that. Good evening, Jason. Does anyone know if Scholars, Beckham, Solskjaer, Beckham, Gibb, Scholes, Beckham, Giggs, Ferdinand, Lampard, Colt went out on loan before coming first team players. Beckham went on loan. Don't know about Giggs. Rio, don't know. Lampard, no. If anyone knows the answer to that, really good question. That I don't know, mate. So that's a nice question. That Daniela Blackpool, Jake Daniels is the first player to come out. Yeah, saw that earlier today. Hats off to the man. Really, really brave thing to do. I hope he doesn't get stick from fans. It wouldn't be the right thing, really, would it? Lee, if the ref was crap still, and yes, he did favour Man City, and to be honest, the refs and VAR are ruining football. And Lee, I 100% agree with you, mate. I don't see the refs and VAR any different. They are a team now, and if one person doesn't make a shit decision, you can rest assured the other will. Yeah, VAR. We asked for it, we got it. Now we're not happy with it. Absolutely, what a shame. It is ruining. You're absolutely right. Paul, fantastic save. Justice for a soft penalty. Look, I won't lie. It was a pen. It was a pen. Premier League players are doing acting classes. But funny enough, apparently Antonio was diving all over the place. I thought Antonio was getting kicked all over the place. Mr. Yardy, how are you, mate? My brother, hello. So I hope you're well, mate. You're losing. I am losing my voice. Hammers family, the refs are greedy, six bias. Next season will be horrible. Mike Dean will be. No, apparently that was an April Fool's. Apparently, he is not going to become head of VAR. Fucking hope not. You shows a cat. Well, they're sleeping. They're sleeping. Yeah, can't. Cockney Buccaneer. If you watch the penalty again, Fabs came forward off his line to close the angle down, not just dive sideways. Fabs over our roller for me still. No, I'm going to talk about goalies in a little while. His back foot was on the line. I don't think it's both feet. You please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you have to have both feet on the line. You certainly have to have one foot in the, and his back foot was definitely on the line. His right foot was on the line. Brian will want to finish eighth. Well, they're not going to because we're going to beat them. Yuha, with a new striker in the summer, I give Vlasic more time to bloom. Yeah, good shout. I did promise. It's my prison thoughts. I did promise that I'm going to talk about the squad at the end of the season because I'm going to try and analyze. We know already Mark Noble's going. We know Yarmolenko's going. It sounds like Fredericks is going as well. There's going to be one or two other players, end of contracts and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go through the squad and I'm going to talk about, who may stay, who may not stay and so on. Paul, we can do this, deserve 6 more than Manure. We absolutely do. And the irony, they got 6 points of us this season. And how shit are they to get more 6 points of us? Unbelievable. Daniela, Justin Fashionable, yes, he was, but not sure if he came out when he was playing, but I may be wrong. No, I don't think he did while he was playing. I think that happened after, if I'm correct. Julie, they're playing Newcastle. Newcastle will be in Arsenal 2-0. Good. English Yardie, PSV beat Marseille, turncoat piety. Oh, let's jump. I don't know why it's jumping again. I'm going to have to get in touch with the... don't know why it started to jump all of a sudden. Mandy, Man U won't fancy that trip to Palace, that's for sure. Draw no good if we beat Brighton. I think we will. Exactly. They will not fancy it. They will not fancy playing and no, I don't. I don't think. I think best they'll get is a draw. To be honest with you, Julie, how are they in the top 5 is beyond me. Them and the other man scumbag birth. You say how it is, Julie. Ray, we have something to play for. We absolutely do. M. Dennis, good evening to you. Play like we did versus City. I fancy our chances. Absolutely. Vinay, good evening to you, mate. Man U player, most of them don't care. They get paid all the same. I don't actually think they do. I think there's quite a few of them that are likely to be out the door at the end of the season. What do they care where Man United end up? Graham, good evening to you. The boys have done us proud. They absolutely have. English Yardie, I'm not a football snob. I'll take the Conference League, European nights. Yeah, I would as well. You know what? I don't care. It's still European football. And if we go and win that, we're in the Europa League for next season, the season after. Plus, look at the teams that have been involved. Leicester, Roma, Marseille, etc. They're not shit teams. There's some decent teams that have been playing in the conference, in the Europa Conference. I wouldn't snub it at all, mate. Jason, let's just focus 100% on beating Brighton, as we haven't managed it yet. What happens elsewhere is not in our hands. We will beat Brighton. And Man U won't beat Palace. James, a couple of years ago, who'd have thought we'd draw twice at home to Man City? And who would have thought in the same effing 2 seasons we've lost so many games against a shit Man United? Mandy, but you're absolutely right, James. Mandy, if we make Europa, Yardie, the owners might be forced to spend more over conference. This is an interesting thing because Moyes has come out and said it doesn't matter which European competition will be in. It won't change it won't change transfer policy. I truly believe there's money to be spent. I truly believe we will spend money. We cannot go another transfer window. I mean, we can't. We absolutely can't go a transfer window. It just depends on what's going to happen with the transfers. I'm going to talk about a few transfers that have come up over the last few days. We will spend money. How much of it we'll spend is another matter. Daniela, there are rumours that some of Man United players don't want to play on a Sunday, and this coming from a Man United YouTuber. Bloody prima donnas. They don't want to play on a Sunday. So what? They're going to throw... Oh, doesn't it make you feel a little bit nauseous? Howard, and we beat them away, stopping a long unbeaten run for City in the Carabao, James. We are massive, absolutely. Right, why don't we go into the next part of the show, shall we? Before I completely lose my voice. So, not a lot of playing news this week, to be honest with you. But Ben Rama's still out injured, by the way. It seems that his ankle was twisted a lot worse than we anticipated. Will he make the last game of the season? We don't know yet. We'll probably won't find out till probably the end of the week. We could do with him. He'll bring something a little bit different, as we saw in the game before last when Ben Rama played alongside Bowen, Fornals, Lanzini. They were passing it around beautifully, weren't they, against Norwich? And people are saying, well, it was only Norwich. Doesn't matter who it was. We still passed it around beautifully. We had some great chances, and Ben Rama, of course, scoring 2 goals in that game was fantastic. So, apart from that, what other playing news do we have? Well, let's start off by Alphonse Areola, shall we? It was reported last week, he hinted that there was more to come at West Ham United. It looks like PSG have confirmed that they want to continue to subsidise his salary, and now we hear that salary subsidizing is something like about 40 grand a week. We know that he's on high money. We believe it's about 120 grand a week. So if they continue to subsidize his salary for of 40 grand, that means he'll be on 80 grand, which I guess is on par with what Fabianski's on. Um, PSG have said that if Areola, if even if we buy Areola on a permanent next season, they will continue to subsidise his salary. His contract with PSG is until the June 2023. So what PSG have said, even if we buy him on a permanent, they'll continue to subsidise his salary. That's fantastic. I mean, they got money to burn, haven't they? So they don't bloody well care. 40 grand a week, but it's good for us. So that puts to rest the whole argument about you can't have a backup keeper earning more money than your first choice. But then who is going to be the first choice keeper next season? We keep hearing conflicting stories. I said this over the last couple of weeks. We keep hearing conflicting stories about Fabianski and his contract situation. Some people have said he's signed a new contract. Other people have said he's yet to agree it. And apparently, and again, this is probably rumor mongering more than anything, is apparently he's demanding to be first choice keeper, and some will argue that he deserves to be. Others will say Areola deserves to be number one keeper. The sort of the catch here is we know that someone like Areola will be in demand next season as a first choice keeper, whether it be Fulham that's coming in for him or other teams around Europe. He's demonstrated what a very good keeper he is. So we know he'll be in demand. Now, Areola is not coming out and shouting and saying, I want to be the number one. But I think personally that he deserves to be the number one next season, or at the very least. Now, David Moyes has done good this season, and he can also do the same next season, where because of cup competitions and because of Europa, etc., Areola has got a good run out. He's had a good number of games. And I know he's only played once in the Premier League, but I have a gut feeling that if we do keep Fabianski and Areola next season, I think you'll find that they're going to take more into. I think Areola will still be the cup competition goalie, Europa Conference, Europa League, whatever it may be. And he'll still be the cup competition, FA Cup, League Cup goalie as well. But I reckon he'll probably get a few more games in the Premier League when we have the break. Like if you remember over Christmas when we had the break, Europa competitions break, it was just Fabianski, and you might see a little bit more of Areola at that sort of time, and it'll be a bit more balance between the two. I think that will be the compromise that Moyes might go for. Look, he's settled at West Ham United, Areola. He's well liked in the club. He's done wonders for us. He's demonstrated what a very, very good keeper he is. And I think he will stay with West Ham United. I think it will be fantastic for us to do so. Let's forget about the 120 grand a week. Even after 2023, if we sign him for, say, I don't know, 3 years, then, after the first year of subsidizing from PSG, then he'll revert to his normal salary. Forget that, because if we're going to continue doing well in Europe, if we're going to continue sort of forging ahead, we're going to have to start paying these salaries to players. Not only goalkeepers, but defenders and strikers and this, that, and the other. There will, that the higher up you go, the better that you do on a consistent basis, the better players you get, and the more money they'll want. We're already negotiating. I've said this last week. We're already negotiating, Bowen's contract, Suchet's contract, various other player contracts, etc. They're all going to be wanting more and more and more, 80 grand a week, 90 grand a week, whatever it may be. So why not the keeper as well? If he's proved his worth, then you pay the price. I think he'll stay with us. I think it'll be fantastic if he does. But I'll talk about other goalies when I get to the transfer side of the show in a moment. Right. What about our future? Sonny Perkins, Premier League Player of the Month, which is a fantastic achievement for. He's won the Premier League Player of the Month, which is a fantastic achievement. This is after his award at the Player Awards last week, the Dylan Tombidis Award. Great future. 18 years of age. He's got the world at his feet. If he continues to put out good performances, then who knows what will happen in the future. I think that Perkins is likely to be one of the players that goes out on loan next season. I'm pretty certain of it. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. I think he'll be one of a handful of under 23s that will go out on loan, get that bit more experience, come back to demand a place in the first team or in the first team squad the season after that. But well done to him. And staying on the awards, let's go through them, shall we? I know it's over a week ago now, or this time last week. As we all know, Declan got Hammer of the Year. Bowen got Players Player of the Year. Absolutely fully deserved for the fantastic season he's had. The newly named Mark Noble Young Hammer of the Year went to Ben Johnson. Dawson got the best performance against Leon, that fantastic 3-0 away win at Leon. Best save was the fantastic save against Seville at home, which kept us in that tie. The goal of the season was of course, Lanzini. He's getting accustomed to scoring goals of the season, isn't he? But what a goal of the season it was. And then Kate Longhurst, Women's Player of the Year as well. All fantastically deserved and great for them. So well done to them. And just staying on just one more piece of playing news. Joseph Anang, he's still our only player that's out on loan at the moment, playing for St. Patrick's Athletic. Yet another clean sheet to help his team get a deserved draw against Sligo in the Irish League at the weekend. Keep St. Patrick's in second place in the league, and well done to him. Doing well. All right, it's the Irish League, but yet again, you cut your teeth where you're told to cut your teeth. Short show tonight because there's not a lot of news. Because the next bit of the show is transfers. Yes, it's back. Transfer rumors and speculation and all the absolute garbage that people believe and go apoplectic on social media about. But before we do that, let's go into the chat to see what else we got. Let's have a look here. Fox scare. Fox scares. Foxes are screaming. Fox scares screaming. Foxes are screaming. Reference dog shit. He was absolute dog shit. Peter. Reference Blue Moon as ringtone on his mobile. Julie. Fantastic season with fantastic people having a fantastic time. Gutted it has to come to an end. Won't be long before we're back again, Julie. The season starts on August the 6th. Trust me, that time will fly by and all our partners will go, fucking not again. Linny, my partner Linny asked me, so the European, now that Europe's over, so it's not for another 4 years. And I went, no, that's the World Cup or the European Championship. She went, what do you mean? I said that European football is every year. And she kind of looked at me as if to say, fucking hell, not again. Yeah, I'm afraid so. I'm afraid so. It won't be long before we're on that European tour again. Oh dear. What else we got? Andrew reckons that Lampard went to Swansea. I genuinely don't know. If I don't Google it, I'll never know. Epic. VAR works just in other leagues except Italy. It does, and we keep hearing how good VAR is elsewhere. Why is it so shit here? Why is it so shit here? Football with Brownie. Yeah, Lampard went on loan to our six-fingered cousin. And yeah, we know that Noble went on loan to Ipswich and Hull. Jason, can each team have one or two calls at each game where the captain manager can use VAR on a decision they disagree with, like the three calls cricket team? What I'd really like to see is for VAR or for the referee after the game, like they do in other sports, to come out and give their reasons as to why they made a decision. That's what I like to see. Disputing a why not? Why not? They brought it in, so then why not be able to dispute it? That's really frustrating when you know it's wrong and they give it anyway. Foxes, we're going to finish 7 points off Champions League. Do you think it wasn't in Europe? We would, if it wasn't in Europe, we would have finished fourth. That's a really, really good question, and Would we have done better without? Well, it's interesting because again, we were talking about this with my mates over the weekend, and we're talking about how European football affected other teams like Wolves, for example, and Leicester, and one or two other teams that have had to play Thursday, Sunday football. It doesn't seem all right. We've had a few bad runs throughout the season. What was it, November? We didn't do so well, and a couple of other times, etc. There were teams that we played which we should have obviously beat, etc. I think possibly, and I don't want to open up this can of worms again, but possibly because of the lack of quality in squad depth rather than just a lack of squad depth is probably why we suffered. And we all know, had we had another striker, who knows? Maybe we would have had enough points to finish in the Champions League. And how great a season would that have been? So I don't think it was so much that we were in Europe, but more about the quality and squad depth that possibly just didn't get us over that Champions League line. Paul, Antonio gets beat up everywhere with no protection, and yet he's accused of diving. Hammerette, aside from Liverpool, we are the only club to score in every home game this season. The last time we did that was 80-81 in the Championship. Say, can we say? Peter, I sound like Chucky, mate. I sound like I'm going to chuck up in a minute. Hammerette, yeah, of course, Howard. We caught the end of it. I don't know what you're talking about. Good evening, John. I'm here late, I'm afraid. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, John. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Billy Bob, love the new show. Thank you, Billy Bob. By the way, please do, if you've yet to do so, if you're watching the show for the first time or watching the channel for the first time, if you like what you see, etc., please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification to be alerted to when I'm on next. It would be wonderful. Hammerette, John, you aren't far behind. No, you're not that far behind. I was late. Lee, I was only 5 years old back then, Hammerette, and still love West Ham. Oh, what, the 80-81 season. Jason, thanks for the feedback about playing on loan before getting regular first team. Um, yeah, mate, that's what I like about the show. You ask me the questions and I'll try and answer them as best I can. Sometimes I don't get it right, but I'll try. I may or not admit I've been you're not that old, are you, Hammerette? Daniela. Patrick Five will want to put the sword to United on the last. Patrick Vieira will want to. Yeah, he will. He will. He doesn't want. He won't want Man United to win. Howard Lanzini will be with us for another season before heading back home. You'll have to get a tattoo. HH. Yeah, that'll be the only thing you'll have left of him, I'm afraid. English Yardy. Antonio chipping of the ball was awful. Banana kick, to be honest. If he tried that kick with his left foot, it might have hit the goal. If only he looked over. I'm sure it was either that time or there was another occasion in the game when Declan was literally free and they didn't pass it to him. Sometimes our players, because they're Antonio has gotten to a point where he wants to score so much that sometimes he gets blinded by what's around him, which is a shame. Which is a shame. Dabs, what did you miss? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do a catch up at the end of the show, Dabs, because it's not a very long show. I'm only 49 minutes in, mate. One of the shortest West Ham weeklies ever. Darren, I think we have money to spend. I know we have money to spend. I'm not sure Moyes will spend it though. And this is the thing, Darren. This is what I'm worried about. We will have money to spend. It's just a matter of will Moyes spend it? And that's what concerns me. Darren, how many players would you like us to sign this summer? I think we need 7 at least. I think we need 6 or 7. I think we all agree that 6 or 7. If we get more than 4, I'll be very, very surprised. And interestingly, some of the video transfer stories I've got, I think I could see how we might get away with maybe only 4 signings. But bear with me because it's the next part of the show coming up. What else have we got here? Peter. We'll be 5 or 6 out and about 10 in unless we promote 2 or 3 youngsters. Revolving door. I can guarantee you now we will not. I'll tell you for why we won't get 10 players because that would be too disruptive. Too many new players to bed in, and that's why I don't think that'll happen. I think you're right. 5 or 6 definitely going out. Promoting 2 or 3 youngsters. Maybe 1 or 2, maybe depends on what Moyes decides to do with the youngsters at close season. I think we'll get. I don't know why I've got my head stuck on 4. We do need more. Don't get me wrong, but I think if we get 4, maybe with 1 young player coming through, that might be our lot. And that includes freebies, by the way, as well. Lee, hopefully we'll get to see some of the under-23s in the first team next season. We are massive. Hammerette, I heard we're very keen on Johnston again. When haven't we been keen on Johnston? And then people are saying Johnston to Spurs. I'd like to keep Fredericks another year. He's been so unfortunate with injuries. You know, if he got a decent run in the team, I wonder what he could have been for us. But in the seasons that he's been with us, every season, he's been out more than he's been in, unfortunately. Ray, Fab needs to be second now. I kind of think that too. Epic, Fabianski needs to play in the Polish league. You don't like him, do you, Epic? Darren Noble said we are three short as it is. That is without players leaving out of contract in the summer. Yeah, I agree, mate. I absolutely 100% agree. Vinay, Moyes is stubborn. Areola should be number one. Moyes is stubborn more than just Areola being number one, unfortunately. Daniela, we're going to play 50 plus games again next season, so they need to get, absolutely need to get players in. There's no two ways about it. No two ways about it. Hammer it. Realistically, one striker is the push for us to sign. Can't see two. I can't see two signing. Definitely one. Maybe one attacking player, midfielder, and so forth. John, no player should have a contract which gives them a guarantee of a first team. No, absolutely agree. It's what I said last week as well. You cannot go, even Declan. What happens if Declan goes on a really bad run next season? 4 or 5 games where he's just not on it for whatever reason. Do you continue? Do you persevere? Now, Moyes is very loyal to his players, and he has shown he has done that with players over the past couple of seasons, where he has persevered with players even when they're not on form. And that's to the detriment because there are other players on the bench that might be able to do a job, and it's their chance, isn't it, to shine? So I agree with you, John. No player should have a contract to confirm that they're going to make the first 11. Excuse me, Ashley. Kama for the arse after Bowen. Excuse me again. Kama for the arse. Who's Kama for the arse after Bowen was nearly taken out? Are you watching the game? So I'm guessing. Good evening, Rupert. Even still, the curry was fantastic, mate. Wonderful. Hope you left. Hope we left you some, mate. We were waiting for you to piss off so we can go and sit in the bloody restaurant. Better go to bed soon as well. Oh yeah, have a wonderful time in Seville. Don't come back with a Scottish accent now, will you, Rupert? English Yardie. Still, prior to our run in Europe and after, what is the value of the club? Well, I can tell you what we've earned from Europe, which doesn't necessarily mean that the value will go up and down. And it depends on who you speak to when it comes to value. 600 mil, 650 mil, 700 mil, who knows? But apparently we've earned, give or take, 40 odd million pounds from our European expedition. Not a lot, but it's enough to buy a player, I guess. What else we got here? Fox is still good. I don't. I'm average at best, but thank you for saying that. Cockney Buccaneer still gets late comers. I don't know what you mean there. Good evening. Oh no, I do know what you mean. Good evening, Ryan. Still, do you think there'll be any shock sales this summer? No, I don't, because our shock sales will be Declan or Bowen or maybe Socek. Those will be, for me, they'll be shock sales. People are talking about Diop going. There's a possibility. Will it be a shock sale? I don't really know, to be quite honest with you. Would you consider that a shock sale? I'm not so sure. But if you mean shock sales as in Declan or Bowen or a player like that, then no. No, absolutely not. Mandy, broadcasting non-stop without a break goes to... Thank you. Well, that's why I put the videos up in between so I can have a swig of water. Mighty Badger, good evening to you. Not seen the name before, so welcome to the channel. Hopefully, if you like it, you're subscribing. If you've already subscribed and I didn't recognize your name, I do apologize. I was fine during the whole match, but once Noble did his speech, my eyes got watery for some reason. Maybe it was the rain. No, I was filming it. And even I, like, sometimes the camera was shuddering a little bit because I had to sort of wipe a little tear. Hammerette. EY reckons he's going to stay there too now. They've got Mr. Magic Hair in charge. What are you talking about? Peter, turning into Aled Jones with that voice winging through. My voice is finally breaking. Dabs, ex West Ham United say we're interested in Dutch left back Winder. That's a new one to me. Mm, not heard of that before, but who knows? Good evening to you, Peach. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Peter. I hope you're well. Mandy, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Spurs game came at a terrible time when we had the quarter and semi-finals of Europa. Yeah, yeah, it was a tough time for us at that point, at that time of the season. Peter, what's the difference between Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday, Sunday? You tell me. You tell me. Apparently, people say that playing on Thursdays, Sundays is worse. Who knows? Who knows? I think I said it in last week's show. But although some people said, well, that you've got to think about fans getting home, etc., I said I wouldn't mind seeing Sunday night football or Saturday night football. And I'm not talking about 10 in the evening, I'm talking about maybe a 6 o'clock or a 7 o'clock start. You finish at 9, you still got time to get home. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Maybe better atmosphere as well. Mind you, the atmosphere in the stadium on Sunday was superb, wasn't it? Absolutely superb. Good evening to you, Matthew. Another new name. Unless I haven't seen you before. Thank you for joining, mate, and thank you for commenting. What else we got? James, Hammerette, I swear, if I punch in Hammerette, I swear, if I punch in Hammerette, this damn phone wants to change it to Hammerstein. Oh, right, okay. I thought you wanted to punch Hammerette. I pay us. I was getting a bit worried there. Mandy, no team has beaten Liverpool and drawn with City this year. Exactly. But we've done it. We've done it, and we'll get even better next season. You wait and see. You wait and see. Champions League next season, I reckon. Oh, let's hope. Right. Why don't we go into the last part of the show? Let's remove that. Why don't we go into the last part of the show for the evening? So, first of all, you're going to have to forgive me because I'm going to hit you with transfer story after transfer story after transfer story, and I'll put the disclaimer there from the start. Do not believe everything you hear or everything you read, and don't believe everything all the ITKs apparently know or don't know. And I'll tell you for why. And I've been saying this now for ever since I've been doing this show. None of us know who we're in for. There's an awful lot of speculation that goes around, and people talk about players, and people speculate and say, we're definitely in for player X, player Y, player Z. And as many people say, until you see the player holding the shirt up or wearing the shirt or signing on the dotted line, don't believe it until it happens. So all the stories I give you, I'm not saying for 1 second that they're true, because I don't know. And sorry to say, no one else knows. The only people that know whether a transfer is really happening or not is the manager, probably his backroom staff, Rob Newman, the head of scouting, and possibly the directors when they're told you got to sign this check to pay for this player. And of course, the player's agent. Now, a lot of rumors come from agents. Excuse me. A lot of rumors come from players' agents, and a lot of players' agents, want to put their players out there to build up interest. So when you hear about a player, and then you hear that, oh, Newcastle are also interested, and Liverpool are, and Spurs are, and Birmingham are, and Jack's shop down the road, who runs a local team, are also interested in. And when you hear all that, that means that the player is being bandied around by his agent to brew up, to stir up interest. So don't believe it. And a lot of when I looked at the stories over the past 5 or 6 days, I was quite like, what, him again? Him again? Him again? Didn't I talk about him last year? Didn't I talk about? And yeah, a lot of these players, there's a couple of new names that I've not seen before, but on the whole, there's a lot of players that we'll hear about again and again and again and again. And 1 minute they're signing for West Ham, next minute we're in deep negotiations with him. The next minute Newcastle has stolen a march on us. The next minute he's signing for Spurs. It's just all gossip and media columns, social media columns, newspaper columns. They've got to put something, otherwise there's no content. And what I do is, as I've said to you before, I read some of the stories, I laugh, but I write them down and I'll talk about them. But this disclaimer is, don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everyone says. And when an ITK tells you we are definitely signing someone, until you actually see that player wearing that shirt, take it with a pinch of salt. So anyway, let's go into the first one. And Sam Johnston, as per, as everyone has already spoken about. Apparently we're back in for him. When was it that we weren't in for him? Because we've been speculating that we were going to sign Sam Johnston now for nigh on about a year or so. Look, I talked earlier on about Areola and Fabianski. I actually think that Areola and Fabianski are going to stay with us next season. Does Sam Johnson come into the equation just because he's a freebie? People are talking about Spurs are in for him as well because they want to back up to Hugo Lloris. We need a backup to Fabianski because of his age. But if Areola stays, I can't really see why we would go for Sam Johnston. Not that I don't think he's a bad keeper in any way, but I think look, I mentioned it earlier. If we were only playing Premier League, you're not going to have two decent keepers at your club. They're not going to want to sit on the one sitting on the bench and the other one waiting to get his turn. When you're in cup competitions and when you're in Europe as well, you've got that many more games that you can offer. And all of a sudden it becomes easier to have two decent keepers at your club, because they know they're going to get game time, and but if you bring a third keeper into that equation, who's also going to want to be the number one, Fabianski, Areola, and Johnston, then you've got a problem. Now, unless unless Areola or Fabianski don't stay, I can't see how we're going to go in for Sam Johnson, to be honest with you. I've talked already about the contracts with Areola and Fabianski. PSG, I've already mentioned. If they're going to subsidise Areola's wages, I think it's nailed on. I think it's nailed on. Whether we sign him for an extra year on loan or whether we sign him on a permanent, I think Areola's nailed on. He knows the squad. The squad trusts him. He gets on with them. So yeah, I can't say that. Fabianski, this rumor about him wanting to be number one, I'm just not so sure that Fabianski will be that kind of player that will demand that. And I'll be very, very surprised if that was the case. So I think we are going to keep Fabianski and Areola. Would I want Sam Johnston? If one of those two goalies go, then why not? There's other speculation I've talked about over the past few weeks. If Everton go down, there's the talk about their keeper. I don't really like him, though, to be honest with you. I don't rate him. Or if Burnley go down, then their keeper Nick Pope. I'd like him, but I can't see that. So Johnston, yes or no? I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I'm not really sure that the rumours are true. And the only way we're going to get him is if Fabianski or Areola leaves West Ham United. But I'm sure we'll keep hearing about Johnston all the way through to the end of the transfer window or until he actually signs a contract with another team. Right, another player. This time it was July last year, I first reported on Naif Aguerd, the left back for Rennes. It was nailed on. If you read the stories last year, we were in negotiation with the club to sign him. Well, where is he? He signed an extended contract with his club. He was originally contracted till 2023, and now he's this time last summer, he extended his contract till 2025. Yeah, decent young player. Aguerd started his playing career at the age of 14 when he played in Morocco for FUS Rabat. After that year, he moved to an academy in Morocco to further his career. His development, sorry. And in 2018, at the age of 22, he made his first move out of Moroccan football and signed for French club Dijon for £1.4 million. He started his career there playing for the under-21 team, rapidly progressing into the first team. He made 29 appearances for them, and within 2 years, he was on the move again to his current club, French club Rennes, where he originally signed a 4-year deal for £3.6 million. And as I've just said, last summer, he extended that contract till 2025. He's a Moroccan international, having made his senior debut for the country at the age of 20 in 2016, and so far he's made 19 appearances for them. Since reporting on him last year, his stats have remained reasonably consistent. Roughly one tackle per game on average, one interception per game, 3.8 clearances per game. Solid defender. He can play at the as the left side of a centre of a three at centre back, or he can play as a left centre back. He is left-footed, or he can play as a left back. So he's versatile. And someone that, if we are interested in him, we know we need to replace Creswell. Or well, we know we need a backup for Creswell. We also need a backup, a left-sided backup, a centre back. And I said earlier, maybe we only signed 4 players. This is one kind of player that we could possibly sign who could actually fulfil 2 roles. He could, step in as a centre back. He can also step in as a left back. He's not a left wing back. Far from it. He's more a proper traditional left back rather than a sort of a left wing back. But having said that, he's got excellent ball distribution, 90% pass accuracy rate. Very calm as a defender when under pressure. He can read the game really well. He's strong in the challenge. He wins the ball clearly and gives very few fouls away, which is something that good in the Premier League. He's, like I just said, he's not a wing back. The stats prove that. He doesn't bomb down the line to cross the ball. He's far from the traditional type of. He's far more a traditional type of left back than he is the new modern day wing back. But like I said, potentially, if we really are interested in him, his versatility will be something that could really bode well for us. Left back, centre of a three, left side of a centre three, or a centre back as well. Now, this time last year, when I spoke about him, he was valued at about £7 to £7.5 million. This year, at 26 years of age, with a slightly extended contract, he's valued at around 9 million. He sounds decent. He sounds decent. Will we sign him? I genuinely don't know. I don't know. But let's move on to the next player, shall we? This one's a new name that came up this week. Maxence Lacroix of Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg they've had a pretty average season in the Bundesliga, finishing around 12th, something like that, which means no European football for them next season. Unlike the first season that Lacroix was at the club, where they did really, really well, and he had European football, etc. But this season, no, definitely they will not get European football. 22 years of age, he moved to Wolfsburg from French club Sochaux. I can't pronounce it, in 2020 in a 5-year deal, which was worth £4.5 million. He's made 79 appearances for the club to date and has been a success at the German club since joining them. Certainly his first season there. He has added what he's done at Wolfsburg is he's added a level of steel and aggression in their backline. He's very good at anticipating the play, stepping out of the defensive line to intercept the ball against opposition midfielders and to quell the attack far more up the field rather than them closer to the 18-yard box. Many would say that stepping out of the defensive line would cause problems behind, where players can get in behind. But with his speed, and he's quite fast for a centre-back, it helps him to overcome this. In fact, his speed lends his style of play to being that of an old-fashioned sweeper, where he can sort of, he can come out of defense, he can carry the ball a little bit, because of his skill and because of his speed. He's also a very good passer of the ball as well, and is comfortable with the ball at his feet. He can carry the ball forward, but he does lack a little bit of technique. So he's not he's not a Declan, for example, who can carry the ball from the back all the way through. That's not what he's built to do. He's a defender rather than a defensive midfielder. If Lacroix is something like a player that we're interested in, it'd probably be quite good for us. He's valued at around £20 million, but the only thing is he's a right-footed centre back. And we keep hearing that what Moyes wants in order to complement Zuma is a left-footed centre back. So in that respect, he might not be what we want. Having said that, he can actually play either side, a left centre back or right centre back. He's comfortable in both, but he's a right-footed player. Defensive stats: averaging 1.9 tackles per game, 2.1 interceptions, 4.7 clearances, 2.4 aerial wins, and his decent pass success rate of 81%. He could certainly He's 22 years of age. He could certainly compete against Dawson for that spot next to Zuma next season. Ogbonna will be back as well, so there'll be plenty of competition. He sounds like an interesting prospect. Very, very interesting indeed. Next up is another new name that came about this week, Jurdy Shelton of Bologna. Now, when I read the first story, the rumor was that we're looking at having him at West Ham to replace Declan. Then I read another story, and I read that the rumor is that we're looking to replace the retiring Mark Noble. Now, look, I'm sure he's a good player, but he's certainly no Declan Rice. 25 years of age, defensive midfielder for Bologna. Shelton joined Bologna in 2019 after developing through the youth ranks of Den Haag, and he joined them for a fee of £2 million. As I've said, his primary role is that of defensive midfielder. So it's not his goal scoring record that we're going to be looking at, but more his overall defensive duties, midfield defensive duties. Look, he's missed most of this season because of injuries. At the beginning of the season, he missed a number of games due to muscle fatigue. Then no sooner had he returned to action, one game, than he was out again to a pubis bone irritation. I don't know what that is, a pubis bone irritation, and I don't really want to look it up either. But I'm sure one of you is going to know what a pubis bone irritation is because he's been out for a long time with it. He's made 17 appearances for Bologna this season, averaging 1.6 tackles per game, 1.9 interceptions, 1.7 clearances, and he's had a decent pass success rate of 85.2%. I wouldn't exactly call him a Declan, but certainly a retiring Mark Noble replacement. Could be a good squad player, I guess. Wouldn't be surprised. He's valued at around £8 million, so he wouldn't be that expensive. But there's another player that I think we should be going for in a defensive midfield position, and someone that I've mentioned several times over, and that's Boubacar Kamara of Marseille. This talented, talented footballer is out of contract at the end of this season, and there is no rumor as yet as to who he might sign for. I find that extremely surprising. There's rumor that he could join Barcelona. There's rumor that he can join Real Madrid. There's talk about him joining maybe one of the Premier League top clubs, etc. But we're in the mix, apparently. Again, I can't tell you if it's true or not, but I would absolutely love this player to come up to West Ham, because if there's a player that you could argue could be a match for Declan Rice, it's Boubacar Kamara. He's a 22 years of age. As I've just said, his contract with Marseille ends in June of this year. Averages 2 tackles per game, 1.3 interceptions per game, 1.1 clearances, 91% pass success rate. You compare his overall stats to Declan's, and they're not too far apart. All right, people are going to say that's because he plays in a lower level league, League One, French League One, whereas Declan is doing it in the Premier League. And I accept that. But you've still got to do what you've got to do, whatever league you play in. And he is rated as one of the most talented young midfielders around at the moment, which is why I'm really, really surprised that we've not yet heard a story that a certain team has signed him up or pre-contract or anything like that. He's a really good player. He likes to drop deep. He likes to pick the ball up and start the attack from deep line positions. He's extremely comfortable on the ball, always seems to find the time to survey what's happening around him before he makes a decision to progress, whether it be a long pass, a short pass, or ball carrying, etc. He's comfortable with them all. Because of his defensive-minded approach, Kamara would often sit far back enough to be almost like a three-man central defensive system. He has represented the France under-21 team, but yet to represent the senior team. And because of that, he can still represent either France or Senegal at senior level. I like him. I like him a lot. I've talked about him several times before. I think he's a class midfielder. And the other ability, just like Aguerd that I mentioned, this is another player that can fill 2 positions in the team. He can be defensive midfielder, but he's just as comfortable being a centre back as well. So when I sort of talk about, I think we might only get 4 players, I'm kind of hoping in my head that if we only do get 4 players, that we get a couple of players who are versatile enough to be able to play in different positions. And Boubacar Kamara can do just that. Look, he's had Champions League experience, etc. There's not a lot that you can argue about this player that he doesn't have. He is the closest out there at this present moment in time And there are probably one or two others. But if you wanted to compare anyone to Declan Rice, he is the closest to Declan Rice as it is at the moment. Let's move on. Another name, another name, and this is utter garbage, and I'll tell you for why in a minute. Albert Ellis of Boa Vista, almost a year ago again. Talked about him. There was rumor about West Ham United were interested in him. His parent club is Boa Vista, but instead he moved to French club Bordeaux on a season-long loan. Bordeaux have been relegated and are right at the bottom of League One, relegated. And of course, this is the sort of story that I talked about with agents. Boa Vista don't look like they want him. He ain't going to stay at Bordeaux because he ain't going to play football in French League Two. So his agent needs to start pumping up interest. Absolute garbage. So let's move on. No point mentioning any more about him. Another player that I talked about before, Jonathan David of Lille. Now look, he's an interesting player. I quite liked him when I talked about him last season. I thought his stats were good. I thought his style of play was good. He sounds like a very, very interesting player. Very adaptable attacking player who can play along the whole front line. He can play right attacking midfield, centre attacking midfield, uh, second striker, left attacking midfield, or as a striker himself. Now, his preferred option is second striker, but he's done exceptionally well as a striker as well. Look, the reason why he's done well, he's not your classic as a second striker. He's not your classic number 10 with technical skill. He uses his physique and his body weight with great effect, picking the ball up deep and driving forward. Shades of a young Antonio, maybe? He's a very direct player, scoring most of his goals, making late runs into the box, making it difficult for defenders to know what he's likely to do next. You look at his physical presence, and you will probably say that he's built to withstand the demands of the Premier League. He was born in New York, but plays for international football for Canada. His career stats so far are as follows. In 2020, he moved to Lille for a fee of £24 million, and he scored 32 goals with 5 assists in 95 senior appearances. This season alone, 47 appearances, 19 goals, uh, three of them being in Champions League. He's also made 30 senior appearances for Canada, scoring 20 goals, which seen them go to the World Cup finals this year. He's valued at around £45 million. I think he's interesting. 22 years of age, got the physique. We know what Moyes likes. Moyes likes a player that can play up front on his own. Moyes likes an Antonio that can bomb, like, can bull in a china shop through defences. This is about as close as you go. Well, there are others. There are Darwin Nunes, who I've talked about before, is similar. Great physique in terms of how he uses, how he plays his football. Not technically gifted. Jonathan David is not technically gifted, but in the guise of an Antonio, Darwin Nunes or a Jonathan David could be the sort of players that might do a job in a similar way to what Antonio does. And last up, talked about him, and God knows how many times we're going to talk about him again. Apparently now we're interested in loaning Armando Broja for one season from Chelsea, because we're realizing that Chelsea may not want to sell, but Chelsea may well be interested in sending the player out on loan again. Now, why not Southampton? Well, here's why. Southampton haven't done that well this season, but we can guarantee not only Premier League football, but European football as well. And Chelsea might use that opportunity to see what this player is like in Europe as well as the Premier League for another season. So those are the stories. There you are. Let's finish off with your comments before we bid you farewell and before my voice dies. Peter. If Antonio hadn't gone to play for Jamaica, he would have scored a few more for us. It is interesting, isn't it? Ever since he went on that international break last November, his form just dipped, didn't it? But like I said back then, I do not begrudge any player who wants to play international football. I think it's their right to. Peter, I think Moyes will spend most of the 250 million budget if negotiating monetary teams let him. Mate, we do not have 250 million pounds. I know how you put that together, because apparently we had money in January that wasn't spent. Plus, there's rumor about another 150 million for this transfer window. Plus the money that we made from Europa football. We do not have 200. I don't think we would even be allowed to spend 250. I think that will take us through over financial fair play. I think possibly 150 million is possibly on the table, but I don't even think Moyes will spend that either. Jason, Coventry ready to be first teamer, understudy to Rice and Socek. I've said that for the last couple of seasons and I've been wrong, but I'm hoping he is one that will break through. You're right. I don't know if it was you that said it or someone else, hoping that at least two under 23s come through this next season. Coventry, one of them. Occo Flex could be another. If those two players come through and they become first team squad regulars, then that's two out of the six or seven that we need. Dabs. Moyes really scares me when he says, I want to sign a couple of players, meaning we'll only sign three. Well, yeah, I think Moyes has already started the whole thing about conditioning us to accept a lot less than what we might all think we want. We, as fans, say we want six or seven players, and when you look at the logistics of the players leaving, etc., I think we're all right. Moyes doesn't think that way. Moyes will not be thinking that way. Peter, League Cup final at Wembley. We were robbed by awful ref decision. Oh, God. How long ago are you talking about there? Vinay, keep Fredericks. He is a useful squad player. We don't know. We hear that he's possibly leaving, but we won't know probably until the end of the season. Next week will be a big story week because we'll be starting to find out which players may have been released and which players could be retained. Hammerer, I think if we didn't have so many out of contract players this season, we may have let Vlasic and possibly Benny go. Think Benny has saved his ass for that Norwich game. I think there are good players in both. What Moyes may look at, I suggested that possibly one or the other may go. I think you're right about, but Benny's got it in him. We know he has. He's just got to be more consistent. And he did have a good season at the start of the season as well. He dipped in form, but other players dipped in form as well. I think Moyes will look at Vlasic and go, that was your betting in season. Now show me what you can do. Fredericks, yes, he was a freebie, Cockney. Vlasic, Kral, Yarmo, and Fredericks all out. Not sure about Vlasic. Kral, yeah, end of loan spell. Yarmolenko, we know he's leaving. Fredericks, we just don't know yet. Epic, Lanzini is leaving in the summer. He said he wants to go. He did say he wants to go back to River Plate to finish his career, which doesn't necessarily mean it'll be this summer. I think what we'll do with Lanzini is we'll give him the honour of seeing out his contract at 2023, and then he will leave on a free to go back to River Plate. Is what I think will happen. I think he'll stay with us. Mandy, Rice don't go on bad runs. That was. I said if if he did. Black Country. If we don't sign some decent players in the summer, goodbye to Rice in 1 year. Absolutely agreed. This is the opportunity to get it spot on. And we really have to. From goalie, defenders, midfielders, and as importantly, strikers, attacking players, and so on. Good night to you, Yuha. Thank you for joining, mate. You said that. How long ago did you say that? You said that half an hour ago. So you're probably already sleeping. Happy Deck's not in it. Will still be awesome. Deck not on it. Will still be awesome. Man just oozes class. He does. He does. Peter, if we get left back in Creswell, we'll be back up north to his home. He has bought there. If we get a left back, Creswell will be back. He's bought home. No, I'm not buying that he's leaving at the end of the season. I think from what other people have said, with so many players out of contract, etc., I just don't think we can afford to let someone like Creswell go. To be honest with you, Peter Fredericks would like to keep him another season or two, as I would Diop. Well, Diop is the one that people are speculating is going to be sold. You know, I was asked earlier what would be a surprise sale, and Diop could be the one. It depends on what we do at the back. Mandy, 40 million for semi-finals. That is no 40 million for the whole competition is my understanding. It doesn't earn you a lot of money, I'm afraid. So yeah, not just for the semi-finals. Peter Bone to be a father in 9 months. Sounds like it. He's engaged, isn't he now? Congratulations. Good evening, Fat Kitchenko. Where is the large bloke? Whoop. Darren Dawson wants to go back up north, so that he'll be. Where are you getting this from? He's having a great time. You know, he doesn't want to go up north. Not yet, anyway. Good evening, Revo. I'm back. You are back. How are you? Haven't seen you for ages. I hope you're well, mate, and thank you for joining. Fat Gitchenko Moyes wants to go back to the Highlands. I'm sure he'll be here. Kieran, good day still. Good evening to you, mate. Love watching Arsenal getting stuff. Been a good week. It has been a good week, hasn't it? It'll be in a better week when we finish sixth at the end of next week. Sunday at 2 p.m. kickoff is hell. I hate it, Chris. I don't like it. I don't think many of us do. Yeah, uh, but it is what it is, and we're going to have to get used to it for next season as well. James Stella, you've got a frog in your throat. Did you get that? No. John, still Saturday night games. Could you still get back to Mayfair in good time? Just get an Uber, John. I know that'll wind you up. John's a cabbie. So if you say to him, you got a problem getting home, get an Uber. He fucking hates that. He hates that. Hammerette, 2 p.m. Sunday's a shite time to play. Not enough alcohol hours. Hammerette, stop it. Conan, good evening to you. Do we want a physically similar striker to Mickey? Do we want a striker in the mold of Antonio, but with better finishing? Just mentioned Jonathan David, very similar in style to Mickey Antonio. Not necessarily technically gifted, but a good physical presence. So I think it's not what we want. Personally, I'd like to see someone a little bit different. But I think what David Moyes wants is probably someone that's similar to Antonio. And also, I mentioned before, Darwin Núñez is also a similar player a similar player to Antonio as well, and they could possibly both do a really good job in the Premier League. To be honest with you, Fat Gitchenko, I want Balotelli and the striker from Blackburn. I don't want the striker from Brereton Diaz. He's at the end of his contract. I know. Apparently, we've gone out to look at him. Um, I'm a bit about him. Balotelli, yeah. He's been tremendous in Italy, but I think it's quite possible that he'll get signed up by another Italian club. To be honest with you, um, Peter, we have been linked with young Bundesliga striker Ivor Kosh. Are you winding me up, Ivor Kosh? Am I going to get that later after, or you mean Bellotti? Yeah, Bellotti, not Balotelli. I don't know. I haven't heard that one, to be honest with you. Daniela, Spurs have beaten City and drawn with Liverpool. Sadly, who cares what they do? What else we got here? Hammerette, disclaimer: not an in the know show. No, I'll tell you this for nothing. No one is in the know, and when they say they are, it means they're really not in the know. Sorry, but it is what it is. Fat Gitchenko. Zoom. Oh, stop it. Let's scroll down. Darren. Rumor on Twitter, which is said to have come from X. Dawson wants to leave and move back up north. Make of that what you will. At family reasons. Unless, if we sign, I don't think Dawson will go. But if we sign a centre back, we're still going to have Ogbonna, Diop, and Zuma. Then maybe. Will he leave? I think he's had a superb time at West Ham United. Why not another season with us? Why would he want to leave? If we say to him, give us one more year, you may be a bit of a backup or something. It could be he'll go back up north and play in the Championship as a first team starter. If we strengthen at the back, which I think we will, yeah, there's a chance that Dawson will not be a first team player. But I mean, what a great backup he's been. He has become a number one for us rather than the backup. I don't know. I'm not buying. I'm not buying that, to be honest with you. Maybe if we strengthen at the back, maybe. But if we don't, I think Dawson will be here another season. Anil, Dawson has had a great season, but if Oggy had been fit, would he have played as much? No, he wouldn't have done. But Dawson would have played an awful lot of cup games, a bit like Areola. Chris, would you have give Areola number one for him to stay? Yes, but like I said before, you may have missed it, Chris, but I was talking about Fabianski earlier on, and apparently the rumor is that Fabianski hasn't signed this extended contract yet because he wants to be guaranteed to be number one. You cannot give anyone first team guarantee. If they're playing well, they deserve it. If they're not, then you expect them to be dropped. But what I actually do think that Areola should be number one. I think he's proved it. Peter Tarkowski to the Geordies, apparently so. That's what we're hearing. Darren Tarkowski's out in Newcastle. Yeah, Ashley. Dawson has been good, but if he wants to move, family probably comes first. Very true, very true. And I'm sure we would honour that as well. He's been a great servant for us over the last couple of seasons. And who would have thought that Dawson would have given us the service that he has? You know, I was like nonplussed when he came out. I thought, like, why are we signing this player? But he's proved me wrong. He's been absolutely superb. Daniela Johnson going to want first team football. It's World Cup year. That's a really, really good point. Hammerette. Zuma has been injured twice too, so we should have been playing. So he would have been played, but keeping the shirt, I'm not so sure. Yeah, Zuma's been injured, Ogbonna's been injured. So Dawson has taken his chances and he's done absolutely fantastic. James, I reckon Fabs and Ariola will swap roles next season. 38 games a bit much for a 37-year-old, actually. This is what I think. This is what I think. Yeah. Hammer it. Magpies are going to be a tough team to beat next season. Money doesn't always buy you success. You know, you can get it very, very wrong. Seems to be picking up all the cast offs and they're looking like a good side. They're looking good, but let's see. Let's see. Ryan, I agree, James. Arioli will want more than just cup games. I agree with that too. Let's scroll down a bit more. Peter Lingard, yeah, it's like will he, won't he? All this stuff about he wants 150 grand a week. Now, if he really wants 150 grand a week, I think Moyes will turn around and go, not for me. Um, Dabs Lacroix is rapid and would definitely boost our defense. Yeah, I liked what I read about him earlier on. Dabs, he looks like a very good player. He's fast. He's a very fast central defender, and yeah, I liked everything I read about him. Anil, if we re-sign Barami, could we have switch roles? Ashley, if Lingard does not come to us rather than see him go to Europe than the Saudis, any player that goes to the Saudis for the money is finished, isn't it? Finished. You know, how important is money to you? Darren, there is more chance of finding unicorn poop than Jay Ling's moving abroad. Well, you see, he couldn't even move south, but I don't know. Move abroad? I don't know. Will he go to Newcastle? Well, I'm guessing Newcastle will pay him the money that he wants if he really wants 150 grand a week. Daniela, it's a shame, but we need to forget about Lingard unless he signs early for us. I do agree with that. I absolutely do agree with that. Howard, big bust up. Maguire and Lingard over Jesse's brother's tweets got physical. Did it? Maguire, Lingard. It's all getting a bit silly, isn't it? Daniela, I'm neutral at the moment. Hammerette, why are you what are you neutral about? Peter, don't want any more injury-prone players as we have enough. We'll run out to casualty theme tunes soon. Ryan, Kamara is a huge yes from me, but I think he will go to a champion. I do too, Ryan. I'm waiting for like Barcelona or Real Madrid or a team like that to sign him up. Good, he's a fantastic player. Would he want to come to us? I'd love him to, but yeah. Yeah, no. Hammerette, pubis bone irritation is a condition in which the pubic bone or the surrounding tissues are inflamed and sore. Sounds painful. What's he been up to? Eh? What's he been up to get that? Fat Ginchenko, Declan's been offered 300 grand a week for 18 years. It's tempting. Darren, I wouldn't mind Basuma rocking up to West Ham next season. Decent player. Yeah, agreed. But he would be quite expensive, I would imagine. Oh, that's jump. It's jumped again. I don't like that. It stopped jumping for a very long time. And now this thing jumps again. Hammerette, I wonder if JWP will be on the transfer speculation list. I guarantee you just about every half decent player will be on the transfer speculation list, Hammerette. Daniela, Darren Clark, Bizuma on bail, so no one going to near him this summer. Bizuma on bail, so no one's going to go near him this summer. Do you mean Bale? Not Gareth Bale. That's what I was wondering. Is he on bail? What's he done? Did he do something that I'm not sure about? Peach, West Ham Random Show. Look, if you haven't yet subscribed, do subscribe to Peach's show. YouTube on West Ham Random YouTube channel. Show on at 11 o'clock. I better finish. Well, he's probably already started, hasn't he? Oh dear. Mandy, all over to Peach's channel after this finishes. I'll try and finish very quickly. Epic. On average, attacking players who move to the Premier League from France have 25% less goals and assists the following season. Well, if so, he'd still get us over 10 goals, though, Jonathan David. So that wouldn't be too bad. Hammer, I think Basuma here's the outcome of the start of June. So would imagine. Oh, you know what? I didn't even know he was on bail, to be honest with you. Epic. We'll probably spend around 70 million again and sign a couple of Kralls. I hope not. I hope not. Cockney Buccaneer. I'm old at 59, off to bed now. Mate, I'm turning 60 on Wednesday, so if I can do it, you can. But have a good night, mate. Thank you for joining. Alfie, Vlasic, I think, will leave. Croatia manager said he won't get called up if you don't play and that he's sure he'll make the right decision in the summer. Well, if he's got that sort of pressure, then he may well go. John, Rice's Uncle Ben said he's 100% staying. Good evening to you, Alf. I hope you're well. Where was I? I was there. I was at the supporters club afterwards. I was at the Grove earlier and then the supporters club afterwards. Where did you go? What did I say? I don't even remember what I said. Darren, River Plate haven't got a pot to piss in. Lanzini will go there on a free, and that's what exactly what I think as well. Good evening to you, Trini. In all honesty, unless we qualify for Champions League next season, can't see Deck staying beyond next season. I agree. I agree. It has to be Champions League or bust at the end of this season, or Declan will go. I would 100% agree with you. Black Country, keep Creswell on the bench for next season. Make the bench stronger. But who will be coming in for him? Dabs. Who will be second captain next season? Creswell or Ogbonna? Good question. Cressy, I think, quite possibly. Cressy. Let's scroll down, John. We have to be realistic with who we can attract. Yes, we've had a good season, but top players like Nunes want Champions League. That is a good point. Trini, I would prefer Broja. I would agree with you. Broja's had a season in the Premier League. He can only get better. John, everyone, don't forget to thank you, mate. If you haven't yet done it, please do subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell button, notification, and all that sort of stuff. Schmiegel, good evening to you. I want us to sign Jonathan David. I like him. I think he sounds he sounds quite decent. Epic. I heard Kamara was spotted at the International Hotel in Canary Wharf. If he's there, you know we're going to sign him. Schmiegel, Kamara's going to Atletico Madrid. That's interesting because I've not read it, so I'll take your word for it. James, evening ex West Ham employee is about 10 to 1 shot these days. Don't believe a word. Like I said, I don't look. I don't begrudge people doing what they do, etc. But I would never profess to be an in the know, And I've always said, I get my news from stuff that's already been written, so it's already old news when I present it. Hammerette, I'm really not worried about the Spurs. Champions League's too much for them. Wanted us them in the Europa League. They'll be out after the first before the in the group stages anyway. Ryan, can't see Dawson going. Moyes trusts him too much. He's a cult hero. Who doesn't love him? Exactly. Very, very true. Schmiegel, personally, what are we down to? 11, 10. Well, I'm almost catching up. Personally, I think we dodged a bullet with Tarkowski. I don't think he's that good, and there's far better young defenders out there. I know Moyes wanted him. I know what Moyes wanted him, but yeah, maybe that ship sailed. Ali, good evening to you. What's your opinion on Antonio? Antonio, he's not had the best of seasons. He's gotten better as the season has come to an end, but he went through a massive spell of not really producing much. But Moyes has stuck with him. Moyes has been loyal with him. But we need an alternative next season. Without a shadow of a doubt, we need an alternative. Good evening to you, Lee. Thank you for joining me. Nice to see you. Let's scroll down a bit more. Oh, it's jumped again. Oh, I hate that. Trini, all these big names with big egos all we want Champions League. I hope Moyes finds us what we need, what he needs to keep us playing the way we do with more depth. I absolutely agree. Revo, I saw you on Sunday still near Shake Shack. Didn't you come and say hello? You did come and say hello last time I saw you. Just come over and say Shake. Where is Shake Shack? I don't even know where that is. Revo, what is going on? I take a bait from YouTube and come back to it. Exactly. This is the only place you'll ever find me again. What's my transfer wish list? I'm not going to name players, but my transfer wish list is sort out the goalie situation. We definitely need a left back. I don't mind getting a left back that can play centre back, and that kills two birds with one stone. We definitely need more strength in central midfield to play either alongside or in competition with Rice and Souček. That's 3. We definitely need an attacking midfielder. My understanding is it's going to be more the left side of midfield, and we definitely need a striker. That's 5, and that's not enough. If you want me to put names to players, I want Areola to sign as the keeper, make him our number 1. Left back, I don't know. Adam Hickey, but apparently from Bologna, but apparently he's going to Arsenal. I don't know how true that is. Um, David Baum, that I mentioned last weekend from Hoffenheim, looks a very, very decent player at left back as well. Kamara in central midfield, would love to have. That would definitely strengthen our squad. I still, in the back of my head, want Lingard, but if we want someone younger, then either Lewis Potter from Hull or Brennan Johnson from Nottingham Forest. And striker, I would like Darwin Nunes. We're not going to get him. I would like Jonathan David, but I don't think we're going to get him either. So long as we get a striker that's good. Broja, maybe, yeah, he could possibly do a job for us. Hammerette, just hope more than anything that we have a bench that Moyes wants to use next season with 5 subs. That's a good point. Bill Griffiths, good evening to you. Lots of focus on Noble. Could have been Rice's last home game. Yeah, could have been, but won't be. Won't be. And James, if Brighton players are already on the beach, let's send them up some sand to cushion them from those nasty pebbles. And that is it. Thank you, people. 1 hour, 41 minutes. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to do shows this week. I don't know when. I've virtually lost my voice anyway. It's my birthday on Wednesday anyway, so I'm not gonna be doing a show on that day. But I will be back. I will do a few shows. I'll be looking at. It's going to be all transfers now. Lead up to the Brighton game. We'll talk about the Brighton game next Monday. And how we got on and where we've ended up. And I'll talk about transfers throughout the week and all through next week and for the summer as well. And I'll be looking at our squad as well and talking about what we need and who we might be getting in and so on. So thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Thanks for getting involved. That's really important that you guys get involved, and I love that as well. Really, really appreciated. Thank you for the birthday wishes I can see there. Have a great evening, and I'll see you very, very soon.